Today I will be reading from chapter 7 of the book entitled Designer Flaw, and I'll be reading from pages 79 through 81, part of 81. Many of us who have spent time scrolling through social media feeds and watching or listening to news reporters, sports commentators, or bickering politicians may conclude that humility and simple human kindness are rare. Yet, studies show that we long for genuine human connection, gravitate towards humble leaders, and collectively feel extremely anxious with the current state of our society. What are we missing? Why do we seem to thrive on and feed the very behavior and conflict that we disapprove of? The short answer is that human behavior is complex. Our world is not perfect, and neither are human beings. Yet when our beliefs or actions are questioned, we often rush to defend ourselves because we often struggle to accept the fact that we might be wrong. Why does it seem, as a species, we are collectively contradicting ourselves? In this chapter, we will take a deep dive into understanding how our biological instinct to stay alive can interfere with our efforts to develop emotional intelligence. The next section is called Survival is Key, and I will continue to read that through its completion on page 81. Survival is key. The key driver of all living creatures is survival. What survival entails varies from creature to creature, aside from basic needs such as food, water, and the proper environment. Survival to our ancestors meant they had to be one or more of the following: strong, dominant, healthy, which means absent of disease and the ability to procreate, intelligent, which was quick-witted or crafty, or potentially, most important of all, part of a group with these strengths, safety in numbers. The speed at which our ancestors could assess a threat quickly and act also determined their likelihood of survival. There was no time to stare at a saber-toothed tiger and contemplate if it wanted to play while it ran towards us. You may not have lived to finish that thought. Many of the behaviors we exhibit today derive from a combination of nature and nurture. In other words, we're born with fears and instincts that were passed down through human evolution, nature, but many of the things that we perceive as threats come from conditioning and experiences, nurture. It's important to understand how this combination of nature and nurture has led to the current EQ deficiency and how we can better manage it, thus increasing our emotional intelligence. Through the process of natural selection, nature often improves itself, eliminating the behaviors and traits that don't seem to work and continuing those that do. However, this natural survival of the fittest has been disrupted in humanity. Thanks to advances in science and technology, we can cure disease that would have killed many, and we can develop a system of laws for those who are not strong enough to protect and fend for themselves. Considered in the context of the entirety of human evolution, the laws and systems that protect us are new. This is why we are still hardwired to defend ourselves at the first sight of a threat, and why we rely more heavily on impulse and emotion than rational thinking. Also hardwired into our DNA is our desire to be part of a group or tribe. Unfortunately, some of these characteristics that we once relied on for our survival are becoming more of a threat to the survival of humanity. The collective term for this set of outdated behaviors, impulses, and ways of thinking is maladaptive. It describes a failure to adjust adequately or appropriately to new environments or situations. Okay, so this is a pretty robust chapter, chapter 7, Designer Flaw. The purpose of this chapter is to really understand the role that emotional intelligence plays in helping us to understand why we think, act, and behave in the ways that we do, and why we act so irrational sometimes. And a lot of that is at a subconscious level. It's ingrained in and encoded in our DNA to help us survive. But emotional intelligence helps us to override that programming that is no longer serving us. So if you'd like to learn more about this, I will put a link to my book in the description of this video. But that is all I have for today. Thank you for watching or listening. And until next time, live and lead with an open heart and open mind.